Week 3, Day 6 introductory video. In your Day 6 note, you're going to find basically a recap of the course. It's divided into 3 sections because it's a little bit longer than your notes have traditionally been so far. Here, I want to do a recap of sorts as well, but in a little bit different way. So we started out this course by asking the question, what are you not noticing? So if you were perplexed by that question, maybe it's a little more clearer to you now. But if not, you can go back through your notes, listen to them again, and start to explore some of those possibilities that are mentioned in your notes and see what you discover. But I'm going to go through some of them here and state them categorically. Okay, so first of all, what you might not be noticing is an internal state change, more expanded. I gave you a visual in a woman, and you could actually see how much she was expanded on one side compared to another, but she wasn't noticing it. But that expansion is very important to notice, even if it's tiny. It's a very important part of the healing process. Okay. What else might you not be noticing? You might not be noticing just how distracted you actually are when you're doing the basic techniques for self-regulation. So oftentimes we can fool ourselves and think, oh, I'm really focused. But if we really pay attention, mind's fleeting. And so to the degree that that's happening, and again, you may not be noticing to the degree that it's happening, it is rendering these basic self-regulation techniques less effective. Okay. So what are some other possibilities of what you might not be noticing? You might not be noticing thoughts and beliefs and feelings that are leading to your unwanted behaviors. Oftentimes, the thoughts and the feelings come and go so quickly, we don't even know they're there. But they're still prompting us. They're still impacting us, and they're still prompting many of our unwanted behaviors. The beliefs that we have sometimes are so entrenched, so embedded, they're like embodied beliefs that we can't even question anymore. We believe them so clearly, and they've become unconscious because we've thought the thought so many times, it's become a belief, and that belief has just been relegated to the unconscious, but it's still dictating our behaviors. It's still affecting us in ways that are not helpful. It's still contributing to our ill health on many levels. Okay. What else might you not be noticing? You might not be noticing neuromuscular tension patterns. And those tension patterns, recall, can be strong contributory factors in chronic fatigue conditions, chronic pain conditions. They can also keep us stuck in an emotional state. There's no fluidity to our emotions. It can also keep us in a perpetual high stress state, as if we were under constant threat when we're not. And they can also keep us perceiving threat, even when there isn't any threat. Okay, so those are some other possibilities. What else? You might not be noticing the extent to which you're disconnected from your environment. And guess what? If you're disconnected from your environment, you're probably also disconnected from how that environment is impacting you on the inside. But it is. Plenty of research on that. Okay. You also might not be noticing what happens right before you disconnect from yourself and from your loved ones. What's happening right before that? You might not be noticing that. What's happening right before you become a little less present to yourself, to your loved ones. And again, if you're not noticing what's happening right before that, you might not even be noticing that you are disconnected from yourself and your loved ones. You might not even notice that you are a little less present than you were earlier in the day or even moments ago. Okay. And if you're not noticing that, you're probably also not noticing the impact that has on your health and your relationships. Okay. So those are just a few more things that you might not be noticing. You also might not be noticing habitual, unhealthy relationship patterns, how often you sweep them under the rug to avoid conflict, or for that matter, for a number of reasons, but it's often to avoid conflict. How often do you really do that? Maybe you notice sometimes and not other times. Okay, so that's another possibility. Just your habitual behavioral patterns in general, your habitual unhealthy behavior patterns, you might not even be noticing those. Now, I gave you a list, I think, of over 40 of them. So I trust you can find yourself in there somewhere, because none of us are perfect. So that would be worth going back and looking over. You might not be noticing how often you tell yourself a story. You might not even think you tell yourself stories at all. But when you really start paying attention, you may recognize that in fact you do. So you might not be noticing that you're telling yourself a story. You might not be noticing how often you're telling yourself a story. And you also might not be noticing, again, the impact that it has on your health on every level, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and how it is impacting your relationships. You might also not be noticing how many opportunities you pass up to set a boundary because you don't even recognize that a boundary needs to be set. And even if you notice that a boundary needs to be set, even if you can muster up the courage to set that boundary, chances are you're not noticing when you give it up, that you give it up. Okay. So this obviously doesn't capture everything that you might not be noticing, but it certainly is a very good start. And these are, in my mind, some of the core things to pay attention to, because they will for sure be impacting your individual health and the health of your relationships. So I'll leave you with that. Please be sure to read and or listen to your note for this week, and also, of course, to do your daily life practice. It's a very critical part of this course. Okay, that's it.